flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hello, welcome to TFYLP episode, I think, is it 423? 422? I don't know.
423 says
423.
the YouTube page.
Yes, thank you. We are live tonight. I apologize for the late start. Got a very large package in that I was trying to move around.
Oh my.
It was a treadmill, actually, Peter.
Oh.
It wasn't Unicron. I got that the other day. So, anyway, I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Peter.
Forever Destron.
Phil.
I don't have a catchphrase.
You need to get one, Phil.
Maybe that'll just be my catchphrase.
And Nick.
Hello.
Hey, so welcome everyone. So I feel like I've been gone forever now because it's only been a week, but we'll be back to the normal programming. And I think also we may be having a special episode, I think, Wednesday night with all these Unicrons coming in.
I can't roll my eyes hard enough.
So Paul wanted to make an appearance again because he's getting his
Paul
Unicron
wanted to make an appearance so that he could have a dozen Unicrons stacked up behind him, and he can be like, "Yeah, boy, I got a dozen Unicrons behind me, and I made $150,000 a piece on them, yo! Isn't it great how big a baller I am? These nuts," or whatever it is that he says. And I just want my Unicron.
I'm sure Paul appreciates it. Oh, so yeah, it's been like this tough slog with everyone with their Unicrons because, like, it's been so sporadic with like who's gotten it and who's not, and I don't know how Hasbro is, like, if they're just picking names out of a hat as to who it gets sent to first, or if it's regional or what it is.
I think it's order.
It's not by order because
no?
I waited until the last 30 seconds to place my order. I was in a taxi leaving New York Comic Con, heading to an after party, and I was like, no, I'm going to wait until the last goddamn minute because I'll be goddamned if I'm going to let them know I want to do this project. And
I want to call attention to the...
He's there. So,
Call attention to the fact that you have him with his finger up.
That's right.
Yeah, it might not be clear on the screen, but I can see it, and it's burning a hole right into my heart.
I was going to put him with the bird and then like a fistful of dollars in the other hand, then I forgot to get the money, so...
Yeah, I don't know if it's regional either because a lot of the Chicago guys got theirs, like last Friday or over the weekend, and I'm not getting mine until Wednesday.
Mine was originally scheduled for Wednesday, and it showed up this morning.
The last update I saw on mine is that it was like scanned somewhere in California, so it might like end up being late. So who knows?
You got an update on yours. That's better than me, Rob, or Christian.
Where it just says like it's shipped and then there's nothing.
Shipped? Oh, you got it shipped? Yeah, we got
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I ordered mine. I was like one of the first orders. I mean, not one of the first, but like that morning they announced it. It was like, take my money.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, what it was. They never actually sent me an email that my item had shipped, but I went through and fished through all my Hasbro Pulse orders, back a year and a half ago, and was like, oh, here it is. And I clicked on it, and it's like, oh, it says it's, shipped whatever. So I, was able to track it that way. But yeah, I don't know. I know, like, you guys still haven't gotten it, so, but I don't know. Are you pretty excited so far, Nick? With it looks like you actually transformed it.
I did. I hate it as much as I thought I was going to. It's a back heavy mess. The panels are a nightmare while you're transforming it because they keep flopping over and getting in the way. Everything is detachable except the pieces that should be. Go figure. So, but we'll, you guys will talk more about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're stealing our thunder. I guess
talking about it.
so there you go. I mean, the good news is I think you can disassemble, like, I don't know if you have to push pins out or screws or something like that, but you can actually almost get both the modes together. Like you can have your planet mode and your Unicron robot mode or whatever both at the same time.
They're going to say that was the design all along. Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, we totally planned that. We did it for the fans.
They're going to hang out with all the Siege Seekers.
So, yeah, exactly. So, but tonight's topic, we're actually not talking about Unicron. We are talking about conventions and how they have changed over the last year, and what we are looking forward to going forward, I guess. So yeah.
That's a big, giant question mark.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone is watching this at some far point in the future, because, not everybody watches these things right when they air, as everyone I'm sure is aware, there were no conventions last year, post-March. Everything got canceled nationwide. And so the question remains, when will shows start coming back? And some of the smaller shows in some of the middle and southern parts of the country have already started coming back, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think, didn't Toylanta happen this weekend?
Toylanta happened.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
The largest shows are still a big question mark for the year.
So, Nick, the first time I met you in person was at a comic book convention, and that was the last convention that I think took place was C2E2 in Chicago last year.
I was last man out.
Yeah, and that was it. Like, I don't think that the big, C2E2 takes place in McCormick Center, which is the big convention hall in Chicago, and I think that's the last event to have been held there. I think the only other thing that's been held at McCormick Place, at least to a large scale, was like an actual, makeshift COVID hospital. So it was like comic book convention, COVID hospital. So
and the same is true for New York's Javits Center. For those of you familiar with that venue, there's a word. They hold New York Comic Con there every year, and it was also turned into a makeshift hospital for a while. So.
Yeah, probably one of the last things they had there. I mean, not the last, but one of the last was probably Toy Fair.
Yeah, Toy Fair last year. And I think a major vaccination spot.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm sure that they're not using it for event space anytime soon. So in terms of conventions coming up this year that are usually on my calendar and like things that I look at as a barometer of what's going on, the next event to happen that hasn't already been canceled is Heroes Con in North Carolina, and they intend to have a show as of this moment. They're still deciding the details according to their website.
And when is that? Like, what's the date?
That is usually in June, usually Father's Day weekend. So they haven't announced anything other than we'd really like to do this, but we want to hear more from you, the vendors. So we'll see what that means. But that's the next show on my calendar anyway.
And that's an independent show still, right? It's not part of any of the larger conventions.
Right. It's run by Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, which is a local shop there.
I know. I think Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, which is like one of the big conventions, it's like top 10, is scheduled to happen, I think, at the end of August. Mm-hmm. I think. So I think that like could happen by that point. I mean, it's hard to tell, So I know like TF Expo that we have, like, we still haven't made any announcements on that, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do, because it's so tough. 'Cause normally that show happens at the end of July, so.
I believe Fred has still got DairyCon going on in April.
Well, he had it last year. DairyCon actually happened.
Yeah, they had it in September, not in the spring like usual.
Yeah.
So Paul and one of our other friends, Paul, both went to it last year.
Did anybody actually go to any events last year at all? I did too. After everything happened, that is. Because shows are a part of my living. I have to know if they can happen. And so I did a small, like, mall show kind of dealy when things were, at a low point in about, what was it, August, September?
Yeah.
So I did that last year to see if it was feasible, if this was going to be the new reality for a long time. How do I make that money? And it didn't it didn't go as well as I would have hoped, which is probably for the best. Not seeing a lot of people was a blessing that day, I suppose. But it, as a show, it wasn't very feasible. And so I tried again. They did a ToyCon New Jersey late last year. And that went well for what it was. It wasn't like, pre-COVID numbers, but it was, small local regional show kind of deal. I don't want to say it's like Toylanta because I've never been. But, one of the bigger New Jersey toy shows. They were checking temperatures at the door. Everybody was required to wear a mask. I'm curious to see what that'll look like now that more people are getting vaccinated and how that'll all look going forward. Peter?
I live in Florida.
Yeah.
And nothing stopped. I mean, TFCon got canceled in March or whatever, the Orlando one. And I was like, right, they didn't cancel it until like the 2 days before or whatever. And so like we had we were ready to go, hotel rooms and all that. And then nothing really got beyond TFCon, beyond the big stuff. None of the local stuff got canceled. And everyone's still doing their, dang old man over at the VFW hall going to put on a show and ding-a-dang. And it's like...
Yeah, but like those only have like 30 people at them,
You say these words, but they're not true.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and people in Florida, I don't got to wear a mask.
Oh,
you can't touch me with your fake laws and policies and guidelines. And so I would message. I didn't go to anything because I'm terrified. Not terrified like shaking in my boots, but like I don't have faith in people. So you message the organizers and whatever, and they're like, yeah, we tell people, we post a sign up says maybe a mask. I don't know.
Oh, good.
That's generally the guideline. Yeah, maybe a mask.
They were at the New Jersey shows. They were checking them at the door, and they had the temperature gun and everything. They were serious about it.
Yeah, here
and that's
soon as.
Oh, so I was gonna say, I mean, that's what, like, for us, like, we haven't done toy shows, but we've done other things, and like everything that I've went to has been ran pretty well, where they've had masks and they've had everything was spread out and all that kind of thing too. So, I mean, I'm just hoping, it seems like now that we are going to get into that, but, so TFCon, is scheduled for October. And I don't know if TFCon Canada, I think, is still scheduled for July.
It is, because Canada did a better job than we did.
Everyone did a better job than we did.
Yeah.
I think, but Canada's got a slower rollout of the vaccine, though, I think, too.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, unless we have, I don't want to go like crazy political on this or whatever, but unless we have actual vaccine ID cards, everyone's just going to say, oh, I got my vaccine, let me in. And they're not going to protect themselves. I mean, I know just by virtue of where I live and how everyone behaves around here. It doesn't apply to me. Oh, I already had it, so I can't get it again. You can't tell me what to do, basically, and it's frustrating.
I think Canada is the same way, but they say a lot more.
You can't put your laws on my body, Derry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Every Canadian I've ever met is extremely rude and very mean. And
what?
Yeah. I'm kidding.
Really?
I'm being very facetious. No, I'm joking.
Well, without you being on
camera, we've been too serious here. There's been no toilet jokes, so far. So gotta throw something in.
Oh no!
I should mention probably that the reason I'm so keyed into convention stuff is because there's my regular job, which is Big Tin Robot, and then there's my side job, which is I work for a comic book nonprofit, managing their conventions all year. So that's why I'm looking at all these different events and what's going on there. If that wasn't, I didn't mention that.
Well, I mean, like you said, your livelihood depends on there being a circuit, and if there's no circuit for whatever reason, whether it's pandemic or nuclear holocaust or whatever, then that kind of cuts into your income, and that's shitty.
I'm curious with the announcement by the White House of when they think everyone's going to have the vaccine by. I think it was like a week or so before San Diego said, yeah, we're doing virtual this year. And I wonder if they maybe wish they could take that back. I don't think they can put that genie necessarily back in the bottle, but
if you look at Comic-Con's website, they're struggling. They specifically call out financial difficulties and having to scale back the online event because of it. So on the one hand, I am sure they would like to be taking people's money for an in-person show. And on the other hand, like if they can't do full capacity, it may not be worth it for them because it's such a big outlay.
Yeah.
So I am sure that it's a very carefully weighed thing for them.
So my question of that is like, what kind of show can they put on virtually? Like, and that's the thing I wonder just going forward is because to me, I feel like there's a revenue stream there that these shows can kind of hit into to where they could do some type of a virtual attendee package, and maybe they stream the panels or something like that, and you get an exclusive, maybe you pay $20 for the weekend and then you get to watch it on YouTube or you get to watch it on whatever, something like that, and you can get some package and some exclusives and just yada yada yada. Because, I know for me personally, I've never been to Planet. I've never been to New York Comic Con and all that, just because, the cost of it's so extreme. And even pre-COVID, I did not want to be in with that many people, and had to pay for the flights and whatever.
Traditionally, getting people to pay for online streaming panels and things has always been a challenge. And that was, pre-COVID. People don't want to pay for that content. It's well, I'm not there, so why would I pay for it?
Yeah.
And a lot of people use panels, if you put on a panel at Comic-Con or whatever, you use it as free advertising or whatever, and so you put that on YouTube later on anyway. Right. You want the public to see your announcements. That's the whole point of making the announcement.
Right.
So there's if you put that behind a paywall, it totally screws the pooch on what a lot of these companies use it for. In terms of a Comic-Con themselves monetizing that, I wonder if they wouldn't be better served making some sort of television deal. Hey, we are San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to broadcast these panels on Sci-Fi, and they're going to pay us for the access, or something like that. But then you got to get the big fish to bite. How do you get somebody to bite on that?
Yeah, because then you're going to have competing of what network are you broadcasting it on? Oh, this movie company doesn't have a deal with that network,
Right. And so you run into all of those kinds of challenges.
Yeah, because San Diego is such a neutral thing for all of the media companies.
Right. So I don't know what the solution is there, but they have not figured out a way to monetize this. But if conventions have to be limited capacity for the foreseeable future, if they say, all right, well, we're going to do these larger events, but we're going to limit capacity, then all of a sudden it's well, how do we have to start generating some revenue again. This can't go on like this. How do we make up for that? And then they will have to find some way to monetize this stuff. But
I mean, that's the thing too, is it just none of the finances work with limited capacity, because
Right.
like those huge halls and the Javits Center and all that kind of stuff, like it's very expensive to rent that. And so, like, I mean, like that's not even counting that, and counting all the guests that you have come in, and counting I mean, there's a huge all the security, all the vending and yada 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 stuff that you have to worry about. That it does not work with like a limited amount of people, and that's what, like you were saying with San Diego, that it's like they can't do it at whatever capacity.
So here's my thought around that. Is there's been a huge surge in the price of collectibles in the last 12 months. Could you do San Diego Comic-Con with 50% capacity and charge twice the price?
That doesn't affect what San Diego. Oh, you mean like could they double the price on the badges?
Double the price on the badges.
Double the price on
it sells
everything.
out already.
Yeah, it would sell.
They could
People-
absolutely, if they have the capacity, they could absolutely double the price on the badges, and people would still go.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy, but that's what you're dealing with when you're talking about a show as big as San Diego Comic Con.
But even like San
Now,
Diego
C2E2,
and New York,
I don't think you could do that.
I don't know if C2E2 could do that, but
Right.
I think like San Diego and New
San Diego,
York,
New York could absolutely do that. And like,
you
that's
know,
a
yeah,
terrifying
because-
prospect, because when things go back to normal, do they ever bring the prices back down, or do they just go, fuck you, give me money?
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
I will say just in general, and I don't know about like Planet whatever, but or about some of those shows, but I know the cost of Planet has risen quite a bit over the last several years as well.
Sure.
So I mean, like those prices have probably already doubled. Like it was over a number of years, but so yeah, like I'm sure that's probably what would happen, is they would just jack the price up and then never move it back down.
Which is not a thing you want to happen as a con goer, because you want, first of all, even as a vendor, you want people to have money left in their pockets to spend at your booth.
Right.
you do, but again, like then you have this idea of like, all right, the people who are coming in are big spenders. They're spending a lot to get in the door. It's an exclusive kind of thing.
That's not necessarily true. From having worked New York Comic Con and having worked San Diego Comic Con, I can tell you they are very different shows.
No, I
People
get you.
go to
I
New York Comic Con not to buy stuff.
Yeah.
People go to New York Comic Con to be seen at New York Comic Con. Look at my
They go
cosplay.
there to be seen,
Look at
and
me
they go
hanging
there-
out.
Yeah, they
Go
go there
to
to
the
New York
panels.
and to San Diego to A, be seen, or B,
But San
see
Diego-
all the panels and all the stuff. They don't always go to
My
buy
experience in
things.
San Diego is they're absolutely there to buy stuff in San Diego. It's a different.
Okay.
It's so weird. The
It is
mix.
bizarre.
Yeah. Because you would think that San Diego is the show to be seen, but they have managed to, and that has a lot to do with the layout of the show.
Yeah.
Like all of the C and B scene stuff is Hall H, and it all happens in Hall H, and it all happens over there. And
Yeah.
then there's the dealer room where people are there to buy things. Whereas with New York Comic Con, it's all cramped and it's all like this. And so sometimes there's too much cosplay for business to happen. Which is not that I hate cosplay or anything like that. I just think New York Comic Con has always been in desperate need of a better layout or a better space, and sadly, there is not a better space in New York City than the Javits.
Yeah, I was at that show once 10 years ago. I was like, nope, I'm done. Don't need to go back. Those hallways that like connect the areas of the convention hall are just choke points that take 10, 20 minutes to walk through.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's my hometown show, and I hate it.
But I mean, that's the thing that's so hard too. Just a lot of these shows have grown so much over the last 10 years and whatnot. I mean, I would have to imagine that every show's been like that, and they just keep selling out and figuring out ways to get more people into it, which of course all came to a crashing halt, in this last year. So, but I know that like there is that is it HasCon or what was it, PulseCon? What are they calling it?
Well, PulseCon was the online version, yes.
Yeah.
No, I know. What's the thing coming up in like 3 weeks?
That's PulseCon again.
Is it?
PulseCon.
They actually call it that this time? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
I
Some
think-
announcement
Or
event.
Pulse Live. You're going to make me look it up. You're going to make me like use one of the multiple computer devices I have in front of me.
I don't know. I mean, I like
Pulse
I enjoyed
Fan
that
Fest.
myself.
Oh, right,
there we go.
FanFest.
Yeah.
FanFest. So I don't know if that's the same.
It's well, we didn't have Toy Fair this year, so we're announcing stuff now. Is what that is.
And they'll sprinkle
Sure.
things over the next 3 weeks, and then there'll be a big dump on Monday before the actual fan fest. So there will be no surprises, but we'll get the awkward slideshow and like cheerleading, like, "Hey everyone, don't you love Transformers? Who didn't grow up with those GI Joes in disguise? Am I right, guys? Am I?" And you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
When the marketing guys start talking, it's like, please stop. Get the sculptors, get the designers back in. Let them talk. I don't care what you, Mr. Marketing Degree, has to say. I don't care how hyped you are or what sort of new slang you just learned about.
Yeah. I always love the renegades and the no, go away, fella.
Yeah. Everyone's beloved Wreck-Gars.
Yeah.
So I don't know though. I enjoyed it though for what it was. Now at the same time, like the prior coverage of Toy Fair, where we had some of the guys, Sabertron and Ben Yee and and Anthony from TFU.info and whatnot, all those guys that went to the show, like they did a fantastic job of covering the show, before there was this whole virtual thing and all that too. So, I always enjoyed their coverage, but I think that last year it wasn't bad. And I know that we will get everything leaked, but at least maybe we'll get better pictures or videos of some of the stuff. I don't know. It's like, that's the thing that's annoying me about some of these leaks and whatnot. Like this whole Galvatron business we've been having going on where people have been getting upset. And I'm like, well, dude, like you don't even know these guys.
It is my strong suspicion that these leaks are all intentional now.
Yep.
I suspect that they're letting these leaks happen because it gets us all talking. Here we are talking about Galvatron. In a week where there's otherwise no Transformers news and no reason for anybody to be talking about new Transformers product. Here we are talking about Galvatron.
You guys did last week's show on what are they going to announce tomorrow? What's coming out tomorrow?
Right.
So,
and by tomorrow I mean this a week ago.
They are
all the Walmart
making the pictures look crappy to throw us off the trail and say, "Oh, it's a leak." It's not a leak. It's it's planned marketing at this point.
Right.
So.
I mean, I don't know. It almost seems like it just happens with such regularity now that it's like, okay, like either someone is just really horrible at shutting that stuff down, or
they've decided to just let the Wookiee win.
Hasbro cybersecurity is just Swiss cheese.
So, I don't know, but I'm excited to actually see all this stuff. Like I always enjoyed this time of year and whatnot. So, and I'll be curious to see if they actually have exclusives for this thing too.
Well, they had Toy Fair last year, right? So last year was kind of a cool Toy Fair because Toy Fair is not a normal convention that just any old Joe can go into. You got to know people or, have a website or that sort of thing to be able to get in. But when they had the whole online, presentation at Toy Fair from Hasbro, that was pretty neat, and that was a great bit of coordination of like, hey, we got these toys are going to go up right at this time, and it wasn't Walmart exclusive, so they actually went up at the time they said they were going to be, and it was a fun, fairly expensive weekend afternoon.
It was.
Paul said he was going to take me this year, but then he didn't, so he broke my heart.
I mean, are you going to sit there and sit around his house and sign for all those Unicrons? Someone has to.
He's going to make me carry them and stuff. I'm not doing that shit. I lift stuff all day long. I'm good. He has a baby to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know where my train of thought was going. You're throwing me off this Unicron talk.
Pizza Robot Con.
That got canceled. The BotCon for this year also got canceled.
Wait. No.
See, that's two different things.
Pizza.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they split it back up, I guess. Or
Oh, wow.
They're doing
I'm
something.
out of the loop here.
BotCon is canceled. It's online or something, right? Nick, jump in.
That is correct. They have, I believe they have either postponed or gone online. I will double check that.
But Pizza Robot Con in Kentucky
Is supposed to be happening.
and rules be damned, is my understanding. Safety be damned.
They have canceled the 2021 BotCon for sure. It says date and time to be announced for BotCon 22 on the website. So there you go.
Okay.
So that's something that I kind of feel like if you look at the different sizes of shows and what can survive in this sort of like, even if we, who knows if we'll go ever back to fully what we were before. I feel like the smaller shows can still survive because you can spread things out. The hotels, I'm sure, will be like, hey, we can't pack as many people in. So, yeah, we'll give you deals on the space because, how else are we going to fill the space? So you have the shows a little bit more spread out, but those small shows can survive. The San Diegos and the New Yorks might be able to survive because they can just charge more. It's going to be, the Heroes Cons, the C2E2s that are attracting, still 60, 70,000 people on a weekend that probably cannot do that with, either they spread out because McCormick Place does have more space in Chicago, but some of the other venues don't. So either you spread it out more so you have more space to put everyone into, or, you're I don't know if those shows can do the charge twice as much and bring in half the attendance and still survive.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So I think, you've got sort of like just from my perspective at this point in time, a little bit of a barbell thing, like the little dudes and the really major dudes will survive. And then in the middle is going to thin out potentially.
But my question though is because I feel like, for the most part, at least, like it's kind of a lost cause, potentially through the summer, but like, do you not think that conventions are going to be going full force starting in the fall?
I think it depends on what part of the country they're in.
Right now, Miami is shutting down streets and having curfews and things because everyone's like, hey, everyone's vaccinated now. Let's just all go to Miami and party in the streets.
That's how it works.
But that's exactly how they're treating it because everyone wants to have that outlet and they think that this is the safe magic place where rules don't matter.
I've seen the photos from Florida. Like, that's a lot of young folks. They probably haven't been vaccinated yet. Yeah.
So... But who cares? It's Florida. We're having fun.
They're outdoors. It's when you're outside, it's safer.
It's magic. And I think that's going to be like whoever just said it. Yeah, regionally, some regions are going to be better than others in terms of what shows come back, the capacity at which they're going to hold them, the safety standards at which they hold the shows, and yeah.
So one of the reasons I brought up this topic was that I talked to my wife about TFCon in Baltimore, and she's like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with you going. Like, she wasn't cool from the safety aspect of that. So that's another thing that I don't know if we've touched upon is you're going to have a lot of people who will feel safe, but how many people will just be like, yeah, no, I don't like that kind of environment anymore.
Right. So even if shows are happening everywhere and they're happening at full capacity and they're easy to get to, who's going?
Yeah. Yeah,
and that I think is largely going to depend on how quickly folks get vaccinated.
I think it's also like, are people going to feel comfortable around crowds like that? I had a friend who went to Costco for the first time after they got vaccinated, and they had a panic attack driving home. A little slow thing action there. Yeah, just the idea of like being in. Like they had been to the grocery store a few times. They had been to Targets, but like Costco was just sort of like it was a different feel with like the big giant shelves that feel like walls and everything. Like being in a place like that and then standing in line with how long the lines are and how crowded the lines would get at Costco. Like this friend was just like that freaked me out. I wasn't ready for that. Yeah. So are you going to have people who? Going back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago when it comes to the Javits Center and how crowded and how enclosed you get, like that's going to feel really awkward for a lot of people, and they might not want to do it.
In my brain, After I'm vaccinated and I've had that month for the vaccine to kick in, and as long as my family is vaccinated, I am less anxious about going to a show like that.
I get you, and I think a lot of people will feel that way. I just, it's like that whole thing when you're watching a TV show right now, and you're like, they're not wearing masks. There is that little thing of just like, if someone gets within 6 feet of you, I get like mildly tense. If I'm in public and that's happening,
there have been times where I have said out loud, "Can you not fucking count?"
Yeah.
I've had a completely different experience in this than a lot of people, because there is no 6 foot down here. I wear my mask and I sanitize and all that stuff like I'm supposed to, but I know that people around me aren't, and we've gotten really lucky. And I've been going to work. I've been the only person that has gone to work the whole time out of everyone in my office. So the Costco thing, it's always jam-packed. Walmart, always jam-packed. Grocery stores, traffic, just it didn't go away. The first March and into April was when it slowed down for us, and it only slowed down. It didn't stop. No one stopped. It was insanity, and it's been insanity. It's been almost back to completely normal since like August.
Wow.
Yeah,
See,
and so.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say. So my governor is a fucking idiot, but he did just lower the vaccine age to 50, and I'm 40, and my partner, she's 40. So we're hoping that in the next couple of months, next couple of weeks, maybe we could be able to get in line at the dog track, which is where they're doing it down here. They've outlawed dog track.
Oh, okay.
They just outlawed it. They just outlawed it like a year ago, and yeah. So they've converted the dog track into one of the vaccine places. That and the mall. There's a mall that has a Portillo's in the parking lot.
Oh, you got Portillo's down there?
We have Portillo's down here. Come on down, man. There's no rules. We got Portillo's and there's no rules. So.
Do they have the mint cake shakes?
Yes.
Those are amazing.
Yes, and the
yeah.
See, that's what I miss. Like, I haven't been to Chicago in, however long, year and a half now, and I have not gotten my Portillo's fix.
You come down too. It's nice down here. It won't be hot for another 2.5 minutes.
But so, I mean, my thought with the, all this stuff is I feel like it's somewhat clarified what is important to you. And so, and when I say important, like not necessarily like life things, like whatever, but I'm saying as far as like what you like to do for recreation or whatever, right? So for me, like, it's like, well, am I going to risk like, whatever in order to go get like a burger at Applebee's? Probably not, right? But like, that really good barbecue shack, whatever, like, I might go ahead and risk it. Like, how bad could it be? You know what I mean? And so that's where I kind of feel like some of these conventions is that, I mean, because we're the same way, like, not necessarily with conventions. Like, I'm dying to go to convention and I'm dying to go to Disney. Like, I haven't been, like, me and my family would love doing that. And so we're sitting there trying to figure out, when can we circle on the calendar? It's not going to be this year, but like, can we put next year? Like, could we put next summer, like 2022, like, so that's where I kind of feel like some of this stuff where I think that we're underestimating that. I think people will make it a priority to kind of go with this because like, you might, some of this other stuff, like you might not necessarily go to a movie theater if that's not your thing, but going to a convention is a highlight of a lot of people's years. And so I think people will take the risk.
I very much want to go to TFCon, but I think
I miss you, jerks.
Yeah,
right.
I miss how you guys smell after 2 days of being in a hotel room with everyone else. So, but TFCon is different than Disney. TFCon is different than like, I'm trying to go to a White Sox game at the start of the season, and so that's all right. That's outdoors. Disney, you're primarily outdoors. A convention, you're indoors. So then you've got the convention itself, and then you've got like probably the most fun parts of the convention, which is like 20, 30 people cramming in someone's hotel room getting stupid the night of. And
Right.
what's that going to be like in terms of like, all right, now you're putting a bunch of people into an even more confined space. So, I guess I probably feel like I'm not too worried about the convention itself, but some of the ancillary activities, what will those be like?
Right.
And those
'Cause
are
you
the
can't-
activities that, like,
That's why I go to the show.
yeah, I was gonna say that's why I go.
It's hard to do shots with a mask on.
Party, man.
And my hope is that if I'm still wearing a mask at that point, I'll be so inebriated that I will forget to take my mask off when I go to do a shot. That's my goal. I mean, we all have
Peter
we
can
all have
bring up
dreams.
some of those masks from Florida that just have the holes cut in it. So
Oh God.
Was it Christian saying some dude came up wearing a pair of underwear as a mask?
So,
He did tell that story, yes.
Yeah.
It was a thong, if I remember correctly. You gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, God.
That's the level of sidetrack story that I come to these things for.
exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I want to go. I'm like 75% that I will go. But we're not 100% done with this thing though. There's variants, there's still stuff flying around. Other countries aren't getting vaccinated at the same rate we are. So you could have variants develop halfway across the world, and
Yeah, we've been lucky so far. All the variants that have popped up have still been same vaccine still works.
Yeah.
responsive, yeah.
So
Yeah.
as long as that still goes that way, we'll be all right.
But that's a matter of time. At some point, one of these mutations is going to be like, you know what? I don't like that vaccine. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm back, and then we're screwed.
I think we benefit here because this isn't your typical vaccine. It focuses very specifically on the structure of this virus. It's all about the spike protein, this vaccine. And so it's just that's a function of
What about
how
the
the coronavirus is designed, right? So I guess it would have to change its shape entirely, and it would still be a.
And it hurt. It hurt so bad.
I do want to make sure and mention that don't listen to anyone on TFYLP as far as medical advice, and so like make sure and do your own research and whatnot on the vaccine and all that kind of stuff.
I love Paul's comment on the chat. These aren't the kind of variants we usually discuss.
I'm really upset, Nick, that you're not going to get the variant for the Kingdom RC. I thought I was going to get you on that.
I was already buying it for the box because it is a completely different box. It's like it's an Earthrise box and it's a Kingdom box. Okay, that's different. It's not like it's a .01 or a .02 or it has they changed the.
I guess think you were doing box variants.
If they sell characters, I might care. Maybe. Usually not.
I thought you weren't doing box variants. I thought you open all your stuff, don't you?
It has to be a vast difference. It has to be literally a whole new box for me to be doing a variant. Like I bought the Earthrise Astro Train, even though I opened my Siege Astro Train. I just didn't open that one. I left it sealed.
Okay.
You have two rungs, is what you're saying.
Yes, and I opened the Earthrise one because I actually got the Siege one later. So I only need one open.
The Siege one has the map piece.
I don't remember. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Anymore.
I saw both rungs at Ollie's over the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Siege rung. I'm sorry. The Earthrise rung. Wait, yeah, Siege rung. Siege rung was $3.99 and Earthrise rung was $4.99.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Weren't the Siege ones selling for a pretty nice penny a few months back?
Before the Earthrise one came out, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
to answer Zaldrin's question, I am in fact looking for a Kingdom Leader Optimus if I ever see one. So, but I'm not out in the stores very much these days. And they never put that up for pre-order on Pulse like they put the Astro Train up. That's how I got the Astro Train.
Most of the ones I've seen here have been figure swapped for Siege. The Ultra Magnus that I saw, I picked up the first Ultra Magnus that I saw, and I went looking for another one because my kid wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And Siege swapped. And that's about it.
Monsters.
Yeah.
There is no level of toy scammer lower than the swapper.
Because people who actually want what it's supposed to be won't buy it, and the grandmas are going to return it because
it's the
junior, it's the wrong thing. So it's just going to sit there, which means it never gets checked out of inventory, so it just never gets replenished. So, god damn it! And then I feel compelled to move it from one store to another, but I won't touch it because
you don't want to be implicated in whatever
that's
that
not me.
is.
So it just sits and it taunts me forever.
It tasks me.
You ever have the moment where you get angry and there's like a someone who works at the store there and you point it out to them and you're like,
oh, and they don't care.
No, they don't. No. Like your level of frustration at that, and they're just like, oh, okay, I'll let my manager know. And then you see it sitting there a week later.
I've been like, hey, just so you know, you got. Somebody stole from you, is how I put it to them. And that seems to get a better reaction than, oh, this was swapped on a return. It's like, no, someone stole from you.
Yeah.
We have, at one of the local Walmarts, people routinely do figure swaps on the Marvel Legends and return them with the damn Build-A-Figure piece just gone.
Yep.
And they get put back up on the shelf with like the yellow tag. So instead of whatever the original price is now, it's $11. Like, what the? Oh.
So that's interesting that your store does that, because I always wondered, are these folks taking it out of the store, buying it, taking it out of the store, and then returning it, or are they just like in the store, like no one's looking, and then popping the piece out?
No, these are
the returns usually.
They do the returns. These are figures in their appropriate trays in different boxes with the Build-A-Figure piece missing, and it's just like what?
Yeah,
it's like,
no, I get that, and I've seen that. I just the mechanics of how they do it, because they don't put the tags on them for the most part here in Chicagoland. So you'll just see the toy sitting there with the Build-A-Figure part missing. And my wondering with that is someone just like slicing it open, pulling the tray out, pulling the part, putting the tray back, and putting it back on the shelf.
I think anytime it's the right figure in the right box with the piece missing, they did it in store.
Okay.
But I think anytime it involves, I have to switch it with a whole other thing.
Yeah,
I think that's a return.
Yeah.
You know?
I know people that have worked the front end customer service, and they are told to just get people out. If it's not a big ruckus, just get them out. They don't argue, they don't check, they don't care because they're trained not to, which sucks.
I mean, it's a $20 item. I mean, that's the thing too. Is a little different if it's a higher priced item,
like a video game system or whatever.
Right. So.
But this shit adds up, man. It's $20 this time. But if it's the same guy doing it, several times a year, how many hundreds of dollars is this one guy getting away with?
And then when you see the Build-A-Figures loose for sale at his toy store down the road, you're like, oh, I know where you live, and I know which Walmart is yours. Cool, fella. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is another fun tangent. So, overall with conventions, I guess that we kind of just don't even really see this virtual stuff even being a replacement at all. Like it's own thing, I guess.
I want to go table to table.
You might be able to like pay for access to virtual stuff for more specialized shows that don't have official announcements from official companies and things. Like at a TFCon or what have you, and shows like that, because it's not like Hasbro's there. you may be able to get away with charging for the content. But then the audience is smaller, so does it make sense?
And then anything you put out online can be pirated, can be leaked. People, it's like, okay,
and it'll happen immediately.
Yeah. It's like one person will watch it, and then the next thing you know, 10 minutes after it's done, all the websites will have the photos up.
I mean, the thing that's hard is again, it's just like all the finances, because when you book your guests and whatnot, that it's like they make a certain amount of money off of autographs and, things like that. And so it's like, how do you do all that kind of, stuff?
Now that's another important factor in this. What are the guests going to want to do? The artists, the writers, the actors,
right.
Are they just going to be like, no, this ain't worth my, I'm not going to jump on a plane, fly across country for the couple $100 this will make me.
If I get sick at this show, I can't go do my next recording session or whatever.
I'll just do an extra 10 cameos this week, and there you go.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
But that's what I've kind of wondered, if you do it virtually, where you like say that you just do a panel over Skype or whatever it may be. Like with the guests, so they don't actually have to get on a flight. They could just do it from their house, and it's less of a time commitment. Are they willing to take, less money to do that? I don't know. But
I mean, there's something about being like in a room. If like Frank Welker is talking to like the entire room, there's an energy, there's a buzz there. If you're just watching someone, even if Frank Tadaro is interviewing him on a Zoom call and you get to watch that and listen to that, it's not the same thing. I don't think I would necessarily want to pay for that. That's just someone interviewing, like, you see people get interviewed on television all the time. You can't interact with that. You can't participate.
Well, and the thing that's hard too is like, okay, a lot of these guys we've seen before too. So it's like, am I going to pay for someone's panel that I've already seen, the BotCon panel and the TFCon panel and, yada, yada, yada. Like, that's another consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that even with artists, you can do sketches and do sketches and all that from home, and you never have to leave. And there's a big demand for folks, because the con goers who aren't getting to go to conventions anymore, they want those sketches. So, the artists, like, why do I have to get up and leave? I can, offer prints through my website, whatever, through my art dealer.
I can do a live auction on Facebook for all of these pages I've got sitting around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what that side of this is going to look like for the next couple of years, where the talent is going to be very iffy. Because I think that was last year, before the conventions themselves started to get canceled. That's what I was hearing, especially at C2E2, was the talent, the artists and the writers just like, I'm going to be, I just canceled my Emerald City appearance. You just started hearing those rumblings from an individual level before the big, giant announcement of the show itself being canceled took place.
Right. But flip side of that, especially long term, is that those bigger shows in Emerald City, a C2E2, a New York Comic Con, what have you, those are all major networking events for those guys. It's all how they meet other publishers, other editors, and how they line up their next gigs. It all happens after hours, You might take meetings during the show on the show floor, but a lot of that networking happens at after parties and things. So without that element of it,
that's when you get the incriminating pictures of the editor so that you can land your next job.
Look, I'm not endorsing that course of action, but I'm not saying it hasn't happened. Especially with some guys where you wonder how the hell they get work.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, there's a lot of factors in the conventions, and again, there's the different kinds of conventions, the toy conventions, the Transformers conventions. The toy convention that's just like dudes with booths selling toys. I can see those coming back to full throttle. They've already started coming back here in Illinois even, and we've been a stricter state. Nick, you said you had those in Jersey, and Jersey's, a stricter state. Peters, you said it never went away. But, again, even like a TFCon or a BotCon level show, I could see those coming back to full throttle because it's manageable in terms of the crowd size. The bigger shows I think are going to be interesting. And it's just, for me, it's just like I'd like to go, and I just kind of want to, wait and see what it looks like between now and closer to the date in terms of the level of safety. Even if even once I get the vaccine, there's still like question marks.
So Nick, like, what have you heard as far as like as a dealer and, working with your, comic stuff and whatnot? Like, are they planning any shows, or is it just is everything up in the air, or what?
Here's what's still on the calendar so far. Like I said, Heroes Con is making decisions. San Diego has gone virtual. Dragon Con is also waiting to decide what they're going to do. So there could still be something happening with Dragon Con. New York Comic Con, their website doesn't even go to their website anymore. New York Comic Con goes to Metaverse, which I guess is Reed Pop's virtual thing. And so at some point they'll make a decision on New York Comic Con, and that'll probably be back to what it's supposed to be. But those are the big shows that are on my calendar, at least.
C2E2 is scheduled for December.
Oh, they pushed it back. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that because
C2E2
was the beginning of the year show for me. So
yeah.
They are doing December for C2E2 to 2021.
Yeah.
Said, I know. December 10th, 12th. What about Emerald City? Did they reschedule?
I don't know about that.
Yes,
that one's usually pretty early.
For December.
Okay.
So God, if I have to do 2 December shows, I may just put a bullet in my head this year.
Don't say that.
Oh my God, what a pain in the ass.
Like I said, Planet's scheduled for into August, so I know that's at least that's what they're planning on right now. So, but again, being Missouri, it'll probably happen.
That's the fun thing that is sort of the through line through this discussion is like, yeah, like if you're in one of those states, you're good to go. Whether you want to go, it's going to happen. Right. If you're in a different state, you got more question marks.
Yeah.
The weekend before Baltimore, I'm supposed to be in Orlando for a ministry show. And like it's ministry and Frontline Assembly and someone else. And it's been rescheduled. These are tickets that we've had for a year and a half that keep getting pushed. So I will hope. I mean, we're not going to the show unless we're vaccinated, of course. But
speaking of Baltimore Comic Con is also planning to happen October 22nd and 24th. I forgot about that one.
Who runs that show?
Cards, Comics, and Collectibles of Reisterstown, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
it's a bigger show than you'd think. It's maybe about Heroes Con size.
Yeah, I just wondered in terms of like I thought Wizard used to do one of their shows in Baltimore, so I didn't know if they still had a hand in that. Because I'm also trying to kind of see read the tea leaves based upon how large is the company putting on the show, and is that having a factor in it?
I think Wizard pulled back quite a bit, and then there was some sort of split with what was the name of the company? There was part of that I think split off, and they just do like signings and things, and it's not like a real Comic-Con anymore.
Yeah,
but
Bedford in the chat says that Gen Con is scheduled for mid-September and Origins Game Fair at the beginning of October. So it sounds like pretty much the fall stuff, at least right now.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this stuff's far enough out that
they wouldn't have to cancel it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
because
it's happening.
I know. I was thinking even into summer that we still might have TFCon in Chicago last year.
Yeah, right. It's like you never know, so I don't know. And I know, like myself, like I want to go to TFCon this year, but again, I'm probably going to drive if I go, like, you know, and go with a dealer and whatnot. So it's like one of those things. It's like, oh, you can always cancel at the last minute. It's not like I have to worry about airfare and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. That's the tough thing. It's like
I will
feel
say
like
this: I'm not booking anything until the very least I'm vaccinated.
right.
You know, I'm not even gonna book something for the fall until I know. You know, and then I got to worry about getting on a plane too for some of this stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm less excited about spending 6 hours flying across the country in an enclosed space. You know.
Yeah.
They say that planes are, still safer than driving. Even with the COVID stuff, with the air recycling in the planes, it's you have a lot of air circulation in planes, is what I've heard.
Yeah, but like in a car, it's me and one other guy. You know, and I know probably somebody I know well, so
Right.
Again,
Probably.
with knowing the people you know, Nick, it's still safer on the airplane.
Look, just because Jason is likely going to axe murder me in my sleep at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these spring events where you've got, like, the Texas Rangers said they're doing full attendance for opening day, full 40,000 people for a baseball game. You've got WrestleMania coming up in a few weeks in Tampa where they're going to have, attendees there. I mean, the Super Bowl happened with what, a third attendance. So you've got events taking place and things already happening.
Yeah.
It seems like it's an inevitability. I think the question will be, some of the questions in my mind are, what's going to happen this year in the transition phase, and are there going to be any long-term changes to what we see?
Yeah.
There likely will still be people wearing masks like a year from now at things like this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And honestly, like, part of me would want to wear a mask at a convention. That con crud, that stuff's for real.
Right. Well, that's kind of been my whole thing is I haven't really gotten sick this last year, and it's like, man, it's kind of I kind of wish we could just wear masks at that kind of stuff because it's not that big of a thing to do it, but I don't know. I mean, I think eventually we're gonna go back to normal, like in just our regular stuff, and con crud comes with that. So
for whatever it's worth,
years.
The Spanish flu lasted 5 years. So if this is similar at all, there's your time frame.
Yeah, but they didn't have a vaccine then, so
They didn't.
So
Didn't that flu actually start in Kansas City?
Yes.
It was in like Kansas or whatever. Some of the
Yeah.
Something like that.
yeah.
Military base in Kansas.
Right.
I just want to throw it back in Lucas's neck of the woods. I wanted to blame him.
Appreciate that. So
Yeah.
do want to mention book club this week is going to be More Than Meets the Eye 28 through 30. So so that should be a lot of fun. That's Sunday night.
Season 2.
Yeah, season 2 is starting. So I may actually have to pop on for that to see what people think. So yeah, so that's 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central in the Discord. And then Ouch My World is what Paul is calling it, I guess. So I guess that's Wednesday night, probably regular time on YouTube. I'm sure there's going to be an announcement going up. And Nick can join us and say that he hates us all.
I would, but I'm feeling a little talk to death on Unicron, and I got another thing going on.
Right. No, I know you got a conflict, so Thursday night.
Maybe I'll send you a pre-recorded rant.
Yes, you should. Oh, and I need to find Rob's video too to play it. The one that he did on Unicron with the flapjack
stack.
Yeah.
Flapjack backstack.
Yes.
That's pretty glorious.
It is. You should start ask Rob if you can, but start the episode with that.
I'll talk to him about it. See if I can put that in there on the episode. So, and then Thursday night, Microcasters will be back. I'm not sure what we are going to review this week, so to talk to Christian and Anna on that one. But I would like to review that if I could. But
That's a fun toy right there.
Why did they make an Inferno in Kingdom and he's not an ant?
Okay, but it's gorgeous.
It's really
Yeah.
good though.
But wouldn't that looks like a vehicle from Earth, and his ladder
Say,
it rises.
unfortunately, or like this.
You know, it's Earth rise.
Yeah, if they made him an ant, he'd have little chicken hands like Dinobot does.
Aw.
I don't know. So, but oh yeah, I guess we could do the Skylings cosplay set. That's
Botropolis, yeah.
Yeah, Botropolis. That's a good idea. Thanks, Aldron. That may be what we're gonna end up doing. So I think we actually all have that set. So anyway, and then we may or may not have cut the tape this week. Who knows? We'll see. It'll be a.
It's
surprise.
better. It's better than Red Grapple because he's got other parts and stuff, and the color pops so much better than the orange on the grapple. Like, you can't see it from my shitty webcam, but in person, it is so much better than just Red Grapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's weird because the Masterpiece figures, it's the opposite for me. Like, I like Grapple better than Inferno for the Masterpiece, but for these figures, I like Inferno better than Grapple.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, but I will say, just in general, the Inferno Grapple toys throughout almost all of Transformers history have all been pretty darn awesome.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't Combiner Wars, but the Inferno that was a repaint of Hotspot was but just about everything else, whether it was Solar Storm Grapple and Inferno from that mold. What?
I was gonna say, Peter,
what is?
don't you
Has
Peter
card?
has like
Has card?
5 versions of that because he does customs on it.
Oh yeah, gotcha. That's why it's just a bunch of floating pieces in a box.
Yeah, I used the core as a torso, and then added Vengsta's head and chest kit to turn it into Cab from Master Force, and then bought a hose head, an original one, and stripped off his arms and legs and reshelled the thing and with articulated elbows and wrists and knees and stuff. And he has a Headmaster gimmick and a new anyway, he's
As long as it makes you happy, buddy.
mutilate all the things.
Oh God.
I think I wish I hope I have that much free time when my kids get older too.
What were we talking about? We're going to
I don't
Baltimore?
know. Conventions or something. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, well, do you guys have any final thoughts that you want to give for this that you haven't added so far?
Wear a mask, social distance, get your vaccine, be prepared, be safe no matter whether or not you travel, have a plan, and be nice.
Yeah, it's better to be a little cautious than rush into this way too soon. Because these things will happen for real for longer if we can just keep our shit together for a little while. So fight the urge to run out to that first show and really consider your options.
All right.
Yeah, everything everyone else said was awesome. I got nothing else to add to that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Catherine, Zaldron, Paul, Bedford. Who else did I miss? Jazzmeister and Ron. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week.